Today I'm going to be giving you tips on how to reduce your negative emotions and improve your relationships with the top 5 takeaways of emotional intelligence by Goleman. What's going on, guys? It's Nick from Mindful Mastery, where I help you master your mind. Let's get right into it with takeaway number 1. Flow. Flow is a state of mind that occurs whenever you're free of emotional static. Aside from a mild ecstasy that is a prerequisite of flow, and you're able to focus intensely on whatever you're doing. The state of flow occurs at a midpoint between anxiety and performance, or your ability to perform a task. Now, you can think of it kind of like an upside down U, with performance on one side and anxiety on the other side. And the closer that you get to the middle, the more of a mixture of anxiety and performance that occurs. And the more past your ability you get, the more anxiety you get, and the less anxiety that you have, the less of your ability that's required to complete the task. The sweet spot, or what Goleman refers to as optimal point hypomania, is somewhere in the middle of the U, or maybe a little bit past. At this point, the anxiety is just enough to induce a state of flow, and if you go a little bit too much past your ability, then the anxiety overwhelms you, and if you involve too little of your ability, then you don't have enough anxiety to induce a state of flow. Takeaway number 2, the importance of overcoming negative emotions. Anger and anxiety are the 2 primary negative emotions that all other emotions tend to stem from. People with chronic anxiety are twice as likely to develop any number of diseases, and chronic anger can lead to coronary artery disease, which is a form of heart disease. This is because of the stress that your body is put under both of these emotional states. There's also a direct correlation between depression and a student's GPA. Obviously, getting rid of these negative emotional states can help to reduce disease and improve your GPA. So the way that you can do this is by trying to improve your frame of mind, and you can do this by thinking of ways that other people have it worse than you do. Or whenever somebody does something that upsets you, like cuts you off in traffic, you can just assume that rather than them being a jerk, that they are in a hurry to go and see their child in the hospital, or something positive like that. And whenever you start to take this frame of mind, then you'll give the people the benefit of the doubt and just reduce your anger and stress in general. Because whenever you think about it, most of the stuff that we get upset about, we can't really actually change. So getting upset about it won't actually help you at all. Takeaway number 3, arousal states. The concept of arousal states can also be geared towards taking away negative emotions. Now, an arousal state is basically just your physiological state at the time, which is your emotional and physical state. You can reduce negative emotions by combining them with the opposite arousal state. For example, depression is a low arousal state, and combined with a high arousal state like exercise, it can be helpful in reducing your mild depression. And for anger, it's a high arousal state, so you should combine it with a low arousal state like watching TV, movies, or reading, or anything to help you get into a more pleasant mood. If you're angry, then catharsis or venting out your anger is definitely not something that you should do, because this generally just tends to build upon your anger. And with depression, you shouldn't ruminate on whatever you're depressed about, because this will just intensify and lengthen your depression. Now, with both of these states, you should just give yourself time to come to a more neutral state, and then go to someone and talk about whatever's bothering you and try to think of a solution to whatever problem that you have. Takeaway number 4, positive mindset. Another way to combat negative emotions is by trying to have a more positive mindset. Now, I know it's easier said than done, but it has such a big impact on your life. Your mood actually plays a huge role in how you determine how open you are to experiences. So if you have a positive mindset at the time, then you're more likely to be open and adventurous to new experiences. And the opposite is true if you're in a negative mindset, because you're less likely to be open to any new experiences. All things being equal, people with more hope are more likely to set higher goals, work harder to achieve them, and outperform those with less hope. This often leads to a cycle for people that have less hope, because they're less likely to work harder to achieve their goals and thus more likely to fail, which reduces their hope, which reduces their likelihood to work harder to achieve their goals. This is because pessimists attribute most of their failures to things that they can't change, or them not being good enough, or they spend a lot of time worrying about things that might happen. While optimists attribute most of their failures to things that they can change, they then work to change those things and then are able to work harder on their goals. Once again, I'm going to recommend journaling to trying to improve your mindset, because writing down positive things will help you to really rewire your brain to be more optimistic. Another key aspect that you should change is being critical of others, because whenever you're critical of others, you're oftentimes very critical of yourself. I am guilty of this too, because I find myself judging others and trying to feel superior. But you should try, instead of finding negative things about people, trying to find the positive aspects, and this will actually help you find the positive aspects of yourself. Takeaway number 5, relationships. This is probably the most important takeaway from the book, just because of how large of an impact relationships have on our life. Daniel Goleman talks about whenever two people interact, that the person with the stronger, more expressive emotions transfer their emotions to the other person. So this is why I probably like spending time with more positive and bubbly people, because then after the encounter, I tend to be more positive. Now, I used to be super grouchy and would often find myself being confused as to why they were happy all the time and sometimes getting upset about it. But now I'm trying to become someone that is more positive and bubbly so that I can bring that change to other people. But this emotional transfer connects to what I was talking about last week with being the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So if you're more positive, then you probably surround yourself with more positive people. But if you're trying to get rid of negativity, then I would take a good look at who you surround yourself with and really ask yourself if everyone should be there. Another aspect of relationships is criticism. Now, Goleman talks about the difference between criticism and complaints. A criticism is attack against the person, while a complaint is a criticism against the person's actions. Whenever you attack the person, then they're more likely to become defensive and start attacking you, or stonewall you and just ignore whatever you're saying. When you attack a person's actions, then they're less likely to feel threatened because you're not attacking them as a person, and so they're more likely to be open to whatever you're saying. It is important that whenever you address a complaint, that you be specific, offer a solution, and be present to the other person's emotions. This will help you actively solve whatever problem you have. A good way to address issues is to let both sides convey their opinions about the matter, then have the other person repeat what they said and how they are feeling to make sure that there's an understanding between the two, and then they can continue to work from there to work towards solving the problem. This is a tactic that many couples use in their relationships in order to stay together. So those are my top 5 takeaways of emotional intelligence by Daniel Goleman. And if you're interested in it, then I'll leave it linked below. And once again, if you have any critiques or suggestions for a future episode, then please leave those in the comments below and keep mastering your mind.